Hey guys, what's going on? This is Grant,
Tash,
and this is Indiebnb.
welcome back to another edition. Tonight we have Brother Moses on. They're from Brooklyn, New York, by way of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Great time, great band. Need to check them out everywhere that they can be found. Got some more pretzel talk and a little woo pig suey. So, as Grant would say,
Roll the motherfucking tape.
welcome back to another edition of Indiebnb. We are gathered here today with the band Brother Moses. We're super hyped to have them. We got James and John Lewis all the way from Brooklyn. What's going on, my guys?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, happy to be here.
We are glad to have y'all. We've recently become fans of y'all. Like we were just discussing. This is sort of a hobby for Grant and I to find new bands, and this is a way for us to get closer to y'all and to help give y'all any kind of exposure we can. So we've become new fans of y'all. I wouldn't say we're longtime fans, but we have become new fans of y'all. So I'm glad to have y'all on the podcast.
Very cool. Thanks for listening.
Of course. So, let's just jump right into it. I've got a little background, but the people listening may not. How did this band, come to be? How did Brother Moses erupt out of the earth?
Well, the beginnings were really just Moses and I going over to John Lewis's house in college because he was a little bit older. We were freshmen at the University of Arkansas, and John Lewis was in another band that was pretty popular around town, and me and Moses just like really, really wanted to do the band thing and had been writing songs in our dorm room and so on and so forth. And like eventually us wanting to be a band and recording music by ourselves kind of like coalesced with John Lewis kind of leaving his band and him just like us always being around and refusing to leave him and his friends alone. Just kind of like resulted in him joining up with us, and we basically just we're all friends first, and had a shared interest in like going to shows together and sharing music with each other, and we're kind of individually doing our own musical projects, and then everything just kind of aligned in like 2015, and that's when we all got together and started putting out music together.
Oh yeah. So John Lewis, so you're in this other band. How is that different sound from what Brother Moses is, or was it something that was easy to kind of shift over into the sound that y'all have?
It's definitely different, but I was, I feel like my personal music tastes align more with what Brother Moses is now. So it was an easy jump for me.
Okay, yeah, and that was my next question. Y'all got such a. I was talking with a couple of friends having some beers earlier, and I was telling them, we're interviewing you guys, and I was trying to explain what y'all sound is, and I cannot for the life of me pinpoint it. And that's a compliment in my eyes. But how would y'all describe the sound of Brother Moses? It's so unique. I want to say it's rock and roll, but then it's got some like southern soulful flair, but then it calms down, and then I'll start screaming into the mics, and I love it. So how did this? I'll start with not only how would you describe your sound, but how did the conglomeration of all y'all getting together create this sound?
I mean, that's really what the sound is. It's just like a weird combination of all of our musical obsessions. Like, uh, I'm super obsessed with like turn of the century and around like I think John Lewis and I have like a pretty similar palette of like just being obsessed with like indie music when we were growing up. And then but then I also have like kind of a more like a deeper tie to maybe like a little bit heavier kind of music or more abrasive, and John Lewis has more of an affinity for like 80s pop and stuff like that than I do. And then Moses is like comes from a background of like really loving uh like jazz and bossa nova music, and Corey, our drummer, is like super funk inspired and really like groove heavy guy in all of his daily listening. So I think that, like most people just call us like indie rock, and that's totally fine and easy to like slap on there. But I think like all of us just kind of heavily bring our influences to the table, and we try to like put them on full display whenever we can. So it does tend to get like kind of eclectic, but we like to think it maybe can all live together inside of the songs.
Yeah, and like what for those listening, who plays what instruments in y'all's bands, and and who sings, who doesn't sing, who plays what?
So I sing primarily and play like guitar while I sing, or like live. That's typically what I'll do.
And then I play guitar. And then Moses also plays guitar, and Corey is our drummer.
Not I don't know if it's self-proclaimed, but y'all proclaim that he's the greatest drummer in the world.
Yeah, it's
He
not
is.
self-proclaimed. Everybody proclaims it. Who's
Everyone proclaims it.
so yeah.
No, but that like what when you were talking there, James, it's like that's what I noticed. Like I was like, I can't explain y'all's sound. Like you just have to hear it. And the song that jumped out to me the most was Circles. And I don't know who came up with that riff, because it's so just catchy, and I love the sound of that riff, and I feel like that like is the epitome of what the sound of Brother Moses is from all the listening I've done in the past week or so.
Thanks. Yeah, that was kind of a combination of me and James, because I remember us being in a room and kind of playing around, and I think I'd come up with like a little lick, and then he kind of like took that and like pushed it back half a beat, and then that's when it like really clicked into place.
Yeah, and it's got a James, you were mentioning it's sort of like the turn of the century. I'm guessing like sort of like what I've read is described as the like post-punk revival, sort of like the Strokes and that kind of era of
Sure.
Franz Ferdinand and stuff like that coming out. And I catch a lot of that through y'all's guitar riff. So I'm guessing both of y'all were sort of into that kind of sort of poppy punk sound that was around in the early 2000s.
I think when when Brother Moses first started playing shows, John Lewis wasn't in the band yet, and Moses and I were the only two people playing guitar in the band, and like our our biggest shared musical influence was definitely the Strokes. So when we first started playing shows, we didn't even have that many songs yet. We covered at least two Stroke songs at like early days. Like Moses and I like really learned how to like play guitar together by like covering Stroke songs and stuff. And then when John Lewis came into the band, he like already kind of had a signature tone that he'd been working on like for forever, and it was really different than like the grimy kind of like stripped back uh more just like not really a whole lot of pedals going on sort of thing that me and Moses had going. And so he just added this new layer on top of that. And then we've since kind of like more risen to where he's been. Because John Lewis, I think you would say you probably come from maybe like 10 years later than that, like a more like a Vampire Weekend, broken social scene, like more of like
Sure.
shimmery thing. Local Natives probably was a big one for John Lewis too. So it was like
Yeah.
our guitar sound definitely is like kind of like where those two parts of indie rock meet, I feel like. On our past music, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm most people who listen to this probably aren't as curious as I am, but what goes into creating that tone for you? What's your setup look like?
Well, I could. Do you want me to just like start listing off pedals?
Yeah, or we can start with your guitar, we can start with your amp, whatever, and
Yeah. I mean,
give us the
I'm a
meat,
big
I guess.
I'm a big Fender guy, so I always play through like Fender amps. Um, I like to have just like kind of a clean slate to work with, and then yeah, I mean, reverb I feel like is always a staple, and like a transparent overdrive, and you know, for me, I'm always trying to get my guitar to kind of like cut through and cut through without being just like you know like too much,
Mm-hmm.
to be like really tasteful, but also like to sing and to just like grab you, So
Well,
I don't
definitely
know.
does. Like I said, that riff on Circle is so catchy, and uh, what kind of goes into y'all's songwriting slash recording? I don't know if y'all write songs as you record or if you have them already written, but like what's the creative process for y'all? Does someone show up with a riff, or someone show up with some lyrics, or what is it for y'all?
In the past, like we've kind of only written one way, which is uh for a long stretch of time we'll like each send ideas back and forth to each other, whether they're like you know a full song's worth of like lyrics and melody over some chords, or whether it's just like a beat or something. And then we will book some studio time, and like a month before we're supposed to go into the studio, we'll like all go to a house together and like lock ourselves in, and for a stretch of time in that house we'll just like try to like figure out how all of those ideas we've been sending back and forth can turn into songs. And then we kind of like would work at like one song a day almost, of like, okay, and that would be kind of how the writing would work. And then we would take it into a studio and like just take a big swing at it. And in the on our first album, we just took one shot at everything and just put it on the album that came out last year. we we did some songs in the studio and then decided like we could probably do this better, and then we would like go in and retry to get it right again. So like the writing definitely is happening in the studio too, because we're like, okay, this definitely needs like something else. But in the past, for the most part, like those trips that we take with each other, like whether we're going to like John Lewis's family's house out in Colorado, or like uh, we went to just like an Airbnb a couple times upstate here in New York, like a couple years ago. Those trips are really where like all the piecing together has happened. But now, like the writing that we've been doing throughout the past year, which is pretty much all we've done for the past year, has been very much like we're just like recording and writing at the same time, because our skills at recording ourselves have gotten a lot better. So now we'll like go to Corey's house and just work on songs and be writing and recording at the same time. And we probably still will go into a studio at some point for some part of it, I'm sure. But like we've been we've been like crafting songs for a year continuously, whereas like in the past we would do that like crazy like slammed together for 4 days thing and try to
Yeah.
make, which is always really fun and stressful, and had a lot of inspiring energy about it.
Yeah, and I'm sure when y'all, I'm sure like most bands when y'all first started, y'all were like, if we're going to pay for studio time, like we're gonna have these songs, perfect and ready to go, because we can't afford to, we're not, ACDC. We can't sit in here for 3 months and write, an album and let the studio pay for it while we're here. So, it's funny that you said, that y'all took a big swing at it on your first album. I literally, flipped over my notes and I was like, this first album, and I'm guessing you're referring to Legends. Is that right?
Oh, well, I actually was referring to Magnolia, but the way that that and Legends were done were virtually the same way.
I got well on my notes. I literally wrote uh, for Legends, or this album is badass. Y'all came out swinging. So I guess we were all thinking the same thing. Um, yeah, y'all seem to have it down pat, down to some kind of science, and we're Grant's are basically our in-house music video guy, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the creative process for y'all, but beyond the music, y'all's album covers are outrageous, but I love them. Like the Legends one with the old guy and the like Robin Hood, who the hell came up with that?
That would be me. So that guy is actually my grandpa. And we were just kind of like throwing around ideas for the album art, and I just had this idea based off of the what's that guy's name? William Teller.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. I was like, I bet my grandpa was just a character, like, one of those guys that you just don't forget. And so I knew that would be a really interesting cover. So
it caught my attention, and then like on Desperation Pop, like the Reverend's like in a prison, jumpsuit. That's what I got from. Is that what y'all were going for?
We were going for like choir robes, but hey, each person's interpretation is valid.
More than anything, we just wanted it to be like a really bizarre collage that just felt really like out of like we were just trying to like I don't know. I'm speaking for John Lewis here, but I remember at the time the conversation centered a lot on like we had this like bizarre photo of us, which was from when we were shooting a music video where we were all wearing choir robes, and it just looked so like weird and unnatural, and uh I don't know, like the clash of like the four of us, we're like standing on a subway platform, and it's so like grimy, and but we're in these like glimmery red robes with the like little binders out, like we have something really serious to say. It seemed to kind of match the tone of the songs, I think, where it's just like this kind of like contrast, like shiny and grimy sort of thing.
Yeah, that I noticed that in that album, like just kicking it off with Sam and Diane. What I got from that, just listening to the lyrics, it sounds like was quarantine, based, and it spoke to me because my wife had never seen Cheers before, and she decided at the beginning of quarantine to start watching Cheers, and I related to the song because it would keep me up, like that the end credits of Cheers where it's like the real like sad like that would wake me up like every 30 minutes, and so I was like, I can kind of relate to this. Like, yeah, you can't turn off Cheers. So what was the inspiration behind Sam and Diane / Desperation Pop in general?
Well, all of those songs were like that we put out the album on March 6th, 2020. So like all those songs were like conceived of way pre-COVID. But it is really weird how I use the word face mask in that song, and that it came out on that album at that time, like a week before everything shut down and everybody started wearing masks. I was like referencing like more like a football face mask, like something that you wear to like protect yourself. But like what's so funny about that song in particular is I think a lot of the imagery in it, I wasn't like intentionally referencing this book, but I had just read this book called 1004 by Ben Lerner, which is like set in New York, and the two like the main character is going through all this turmoil with like this relationship, but also there's like a horrible storm about to hit the city, and he's like staying over at this person's apartment because like a huge storm is going to hit the city and everybody's going to lose power. And it had that book definitely has this kind of like apocalypse vibe to it. And it's so weird because like literally a week ago, I was like, dang, I should reread that book because it's about like New York City going through like a weird apocalyptic ish period of time, which we've all, like John Lewis and I, have now gone through for the past year. And I was like, man, I can't believe like I read this book before COVID and it resonated, and now I'm gonna reread it and it's definitely gonna hit hard again. And that book informed kind of the characters in that song, even though the characters in the song are really just based off of like Sam and Diane and Cheers versus how I felt about like a relationship that I had in my life where I thought it was very Sam and Diane ish. But I do think, I don't know, it's just weird how those lines get drawn. Like that book inspired that song a little bit, and then both that book and the song wound up being kind of like like weirdly prophetic feeling.
Yeah, and Cheers ended up being like the most watched show during quarantine. I saw that the other day. Like
Weird, man.
maybe you're probably, maybe the Reverend robes on the front was really leading to something. So, you know, I was mentioning earlier that Grant is our resident music video critic and expert. So I know he's biting at the chomp to really talk to y'all about y'all's wild music videos.
Yeah, critic is a lightly used term. I'm an appreciator, I think would be the better term, because yeah, I'm a connoisseur because you know, I think that this is a lot, like the music video is such a visceral part of music, and being able to like see what your interpretation is of something is always important. And so, you know, I went through, you know, everything y'all put up there on the old YouTube. And, you know, I love the tour films, and, you know, that seemed like something y'all did early. You kind of, you know, went through and, you know, put some music to it, but, you know, what inspired you guys to get together and was like, all right, you know what, we're going to put together a tour film? Because I'm sure it's not something that's easy to do, especially being busy and, you know, packing the gear up and putting it away and all that stuff. So talk to me about that, and just who did that for you, and did you hire somebody, or is that, you know, someone's cousin, or I don't know.
I don't even. So like there's only one that I can think of. Maybe there's two though.
So there's the thank you so much for coming to the show that was put out a year ago, but
okay.
the East Coast tour, August of 2015.
Yeah, that was like, so that was the first tour that John Lewis came on. It was like our second tour ever. That was probably just pieced together with like stuff that was on each other's iPhones, where we were
Yeah,
like,
I think at the beginning we had said, hey, let's try to be like filming a lot.
Mhm.
And so that was just like a random assortment.
it was like we did, yeah, no, we didn't really hire anybody to like do that at all, or
Yeah.
editing. I think I edited it at like our college like tech room, whatever. Like I used Premiere Pro for free on the computer at the college.
Nice.
Uh,
And then the other one that you're talking about, that was pieced together with more of more professional quality and some just like handheld stuff. But we have a few friends who are really talented at photos and videos, and over the years they've gotten some really good stuff of us.
was that one Jake Ruth?
It had some of his stuff, a little bit of Lane's and Jared Slider.
There we go. Yeah, that's a few different people, right?
Yeah.
I'm only just
Also that we did a festival in Pennsylvania a couple of years ago, and they videoed the whole thing and gave us the footage, which was really nice and awesome.
and that was also just like a bunch of college students doing it for fun, and it was super pro looking, which is really cool.
Yeah. it's awesome what's kind of how videos changed, where you don't have to have you don't have to have a professional setup or anything. It can just be it can look great just from your phone or anything like that. But a couple of highlights in the tour video, I thought it was hilarious when the guy couldn't get yeah, it might have been you who couldn't get the Sour Patch Kids open. I mean, that was just tragic to watch. But and then when you go to Canada, you got to chant USA. I mean, that was hilarious. But what was great was the inside look into how your live shows look, because right now Tash and I are new fans. We haven't been able to experience it, but to be able to see it and see it, just a couple of clips. Obviously, I mean, I'm hungry to come see a show just because I want to be a part of the tradition where we start jumping up and down at the beginning of the song. And so that was just a great, cool thing to put out there. And want to get into some of the other videos, what does it take? I mean, you guys got the cat out. I mean, you got a sousaphone. Who on earth has a sousaphone in the middle of Brooklyn? I mean, I feel like maybe more people than I think, but like, what came together with that one?
That is our friend Nora Nalepka. We met through some mutual friends, and she was playing bass with our friend Blake, and I think that's how we originally met. And she, I think at this time is like mostly full time playing sousaphone, like in different brass bands in Brooklyn. And John Lewis can definitely speak to the whole inspiration for that video. He was kind of like John Lewis had more or less the entire video idea for what does it take.
Well, we were just trying to kind of encapsulate what that song was inspired by, which was just the frustration and desperation with like living in a big city and just like the daily strife, but also excitement of that. And so we were throwing around this idea for the video of this person who's just like going about their daily routine and just continually just like things are going wrong. And we're talking about who we wanted to play the main character. And James and I were talking about it, and we decided like, oh, if Nora is down to do it, she would be great in it. And then we were thinking about it. We're like, we can't ask Nora to do it and not like utilize her her tuba skills, because she's always like just playing around. She's in a few brass bands, and they'll just be like playing at the park every weekend.
Yeah. The only friend that I run into in Brooklyn, like, unless I'm like directly in somebody's neck of the woods, like Nora's the only person I've ever just like run into on the street multiple times carrying her sousaphone. She's just kind of like everywhere all the time playing. So
yeah, so that was like a really cool experience. We were kind of just like setting up these situations and then just kind of like following her lead.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Who I mean, like, did the cat? I mean, it seems like in the music video, it was like a play that the cat got out. But like, I mean, did the cat actually get out during the shoot? I mean, do we have to go chase that thing down or what?
So that video, the bathroom floor video, was kind of my brainchild, and I was like trying to explain to John Lewis and somebody else in the band like my idea for the video, which was just that me and my wife were house sitting for her aunt and uncle who have this like big beautiful house in Brooklyn, and I was like, oh, we should use this house somehow, and maybe the video could be they have like this chair that goes up and down the stairs like a people mover chair. I was like, we could use that in the video, that would be cool. Maybe we could bring we wanted our friend who was dating the girl at the time who's in the video, we wanted him to ask her to be in it because she's a professional actress. And we knew they had a cat, and we were like, I was like brainstorming ideas that the cat could be involved. And then it occurred to me like, well, that would be kind of bad, like if we were trying to do a scene with the cat and the cat got out. And then I was like, oh wait, what if at that point, my brain just kind of took a hard left turn, and I just decided, like, okay, no, what if halfway through the video it turns into this meta thing where it's like all of a sudden you're not in the music video anymore. You're like in our shoes making the music video when the cat has gotten out. And it was kind of like, I think like I maybe went like 2 levels too deep with it, but because
Conception.
but it was really fun, and I definitely think it maybe is a little bit convincing that something did actually go wrong because it's so hectically filmed. But
Yeah.
Nothing's worse than looking for the cat. Grant and I spent last weekend looking for our buddy's cat for a solid 35 minutes. It was inside the whole time.
Yeah, dude, that was
man.
unbelievable.
video.
It was tough, but and then Someone Make It Stop, one of my favorite songs you guys have, with the the intercuts with Groundhog Day and just the whole theme of the song. I believe I wrote down live in repetition like Bill. I get to like Bill, I get it right. I butchered those, but I mean, sorry. But I love I love that idea, and just how did you guys come up with that and get it? And I watched how the song was made, but it's not how the lyrics were made. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, John Lewis really, like, I had written the lyrics for the song, which were just kind of about like wanting to be able to hold on to time a little better and not like waste precious time that you have with people that you care about. And then I think the line about Groundhog Day was already in the bridge, right?
Mhm.
And then John Lewis actually sampled Groundhog Day in the song uh, in a very subtle way that would keep us from getting in trouble. But actually, it's like kind of insane that we haven't gotten in trouble for it, being that not only is it a sample of the movie Groundhog Day, but it's also a sample of a very famous song. But like kind of tying everything together that way.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I really I loved your catalog, and really appreciate you guys putting the effort forth, and we know how much money it takes. We ask a lot of people who come on this podcast about the process for videos, and we know that it's a very financially arduous process. So from somebody who appreciates it, I just wanted to thank you guys for putting those out, and keep on doing it. Love the new videos as well, with the lyric, the visualizers and Only Living Boy and everything. So I mean, keep doing what y'all are doing on that front. Really crushing it.
Man, thank you. That means a lot. It's definitely always a struggle, but we've been really lucky to have some friends who are willing to work with us for good rates to make the dreams work.
Well, and I don't want it to be undersold either that John Lewis like pretty much take every visual part of our band under his wing in like whatever way he can. Like he edited the entire What Does It Take video and edited the Only Living Boy video. He made the entire visualizer. Like what's truly invaluable is having somebody in the band who can do all of those things, not just like at a level where it passes, but like at a level where other people think that we hired somebody who just does that to do that. It's insane that like our guitar player does that. It's kind of crazy, and we're beyond blessed and fortunate to have John Lewis doing those things.
Give it up for John Lewis.
All right.
I'll make him blush. So speaking of sampling, I don't know if it was a sample, but the burning question I've had the whole time, Jeff Goldblum, what in the hell? What is that? Where did that come from? Is that real? Like Pineapple Express, do you have a great Jeff Goldblum impression?
Like we've told the story about how it's happened, and we'll tell it again. But like, I've actually started to think like when we start talking about it again, that we should just pretend that it was fake, because that probably um kind of like a interconnecting theme of a lot of the songs on this album is that we use some audio that we probably don't technically have permission to use. And somehow we've been totally fine, even though like, I mean, it's not like hundreds of millions of people are listening to the songs, but it's also not like nobody is listening to the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it has been interesting to see, that we haven't really gotten in trouble for it. But we did meet Jeff Goldblum in Los Angeles while we were making Legends. We like went to go watch him play at a jazz bar because he's an incredible pianist, like jazz pianist, and also just like he's like a he's just an entertainer. Like, I mean, I think a lot of famous actors probably are like this, where like their entire personality is just like entertaining people. So we went to go see him do his thing at this like tiny club, and afterwards we had this whole plan of like, we're gonna get him to say something and we're gonna put it in one of our songs. And we didn't end up using it for like 4 years, partially because we were scared to, and partially because like we didn't really know how it would fit in. But like that song, "What Does It Take," is just like so absurd, and at the end it was gonna have this like really funny like resampled version of the song playing to end the song. And we were like, this kind of sounds like it would be in the background at the bar where we met Jeff Goldblum. What if we put his voice on top of it just as this like surreal, almost like a palate cleanser to like finish, like close out the loop of that song being so bizarre? Like, let's just slip in the Jeff Goldblum things so that people are like, okay, this was a whole suite of weird ideas. And we just really liked how it fit in between "What Does It Take" and "Someone Make It Stop," which starts with the Groundhog Day, like Sonny and Cher thing. So it all just kind of clicked, so we decided to use it. But yeah, that was the story. It's not like we didn't like meet him by chance. We knew he was gonna play at this bar. We bought a table that was close to the stage so that we could definitely talk to him. Like, but the fact that we didn't end up using it for like 5 years is the crazy part. That we were just like sitting on that for so long, not doing anything with it.
Yeah, I'm sitting on our couch last night. I'm listening to y'all's music, taking some. My wife was like, "Was that Jeff Goldblum?" I was like, yeah, it was. For those of y'all that haven't listened, go on, and that's on Desperation Pop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
go
also,
on.
I'm also gonna throw out here a little indie B&B exclusive.
Oh,
Like, we that is not the only recording that we have of a famous actor saying that sentence. Like, we have another one that we still haven't figured out what to do with it, which is insane that we have a second one. I won't say who it is, but like, we do have another one. I don't know when we're going to use it, but yeah.
yeah, we'll have to like put that in like the comment section. See if anyone can guess who it is. Maybe they get a free Brother Moses T-shirt in like 5 years when y'all. Yeah, I was just, yeah, anyone who's listening, you got to go listen to it. It's just Jeff Goldblum basically saying, you need to go listen to Brother Moses. um, and yeah, just my wife just she wasn't even really paying attention. She was like reading, and she's just like, "That's Jeff Goldblum." I was like, "Yeah, I think it was." So I'll have to ask that. And what is another question I had? I get half of it now, but where did the brother part of Brother Moses come from?
It was kind of a pivot because I I wanted to call the band Grandpa Moses, kind of as a joke, and then decided it would be kind of weird sounding and maybe be like making fun of Moses in a weird way. Moses like kind of I don't even really remember how like the whole conversation went, but band names are like, you know, you have to have one, and so you like look for the thing that's closest to you and just kind of try to like make it work, I feel like. So we were like, we wanted to use Moses's name because it felt like we should, because he's got a great, powerful name and personality. And he's kind of like his spirit is the spirit of the band, more or less. And so it started at Grandpa and then eventually ended at Brother because it was kind of the least creepy.
Yeah, but we've had this conversation many times. You know, band names can go many of ways. Grant's really good at coming up with band names. We've mentioned, this is probably the third time I've mentioned this. I heard Dave Grohl one time say that Foo Fighters is like the dumbest name for a band of all time.
Not every band name is the dumbest band name of all time. Like, if you really think about any of them too hard for like what they are as a word or combination of words, they are all so stupid.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Except
every band name is weird the first time you hear it, and then you listen to them like for an hour and you're like, oh yeah.
Except for the greatest band name of all time, which Grant already knows what it is, but
Duck Truck. All right, you got DT. You got trucks, and you got little ducks on them.
He's really pushing this.
I've been like Tash. Like, look, I'll get my brother to play the drums.
Yeah,
play the guitar, and like, I think I got the lead singer. I can be the lead singer of Duck Truck, and we'll open up at we'll start playing some gigs. He's like, Grant, it's the worst band name I've ever heard in my fucking life. And yeah, but we had some fun with the Hedonistas, their band down here in Atlanta. And we were just talking about band names, and actually one of the best band names I've ever heard come out, Disciples of Doritos, DOD. And like, I was like, man, that's a good band name. Someone's gonna find that and probably take it.
That's amazing.
Yes, you can go in the direction of just like your band name is supposed to be kind of funny, and then you kind of get to take the wind out of the sails of anybody who is thinking you're taking yourself too seriously, which was kind of part of ours. Was like, it feels friendly, it feels a little funny. It doesn't really matter in the end. At the end of the day, what you want to try to do is like present a strong enough like cohesion of the rest of your band outside of your name that people can just associate that with your band name. And so then your band name just means your band at the end of the day. And that's kind of what it is for every band that's actually any good. Like, you don't really fixate on the name too much. You would never hear like somebody say the word say Wilco without you immediately like thinking of their whole thing,
Yeah.
Well, y'all picked a very memorable name. I mean, I think there are band names that can go by the wayside that you're just like, what was that? You'll go out on a non-corona times, but just on a Friday night, you're like, what was the name of that band? I got no clue. But Brother Moses, I feel like, is something that sticks, and you can't forget it. But
good to know.
Why don't we hop on the Duck Truck and head over to Pete Peterson's party pack of questions? These guys,
let's go.
Made of, we're trying to see how fast we can get people to go. I think we might have set the record last week with Daphna. She did it in like 2 minutes. I think that y'all can top this, but we'll see. We'll see what y'all are made of.
Yeah, she was unbelievable. Really locked in, and she's really, really focused. Very, she's an engineer, so she was just,
oh, great,
ready to go. But
answers, so I can do one, John Lewis does one, so that way we don't spend any time waiting on somebody else to say something or something like that.
We can go you first, and then John Lewis.
Sounds great.
And then we'll kick it off like that. But 20 questions, Pete Peterson's potty pack of questions. Of course, a lot of this or that's, and we have the most controversial question on here, which we'll get to in just a minute, and that might slow you down a little bit. We had Lowen came on here. I don't know if you guys know Lowen. She's an artist out of Nashville, but she had a pretty hot take about pretzels. So we'll talk about it in just a minute. But it was rough. So here we go. Number one, cash or credit?
Cash, cold hard cash.
Yeah, cash.
Okay, here we go. Ninja or pirate?
Pirate.
Ninja.
All right. Candy corn or candy pumpkins?
Candy pumpkins.
Candy corn.
Oh. Toast or bagels?
Bagels.
Bagels.
A couple of New Yorkers. Of course, you're going to choose bagels. All right. Pop-Tarts or donuts?
Donuts.
Donuts.
All right. Is love at first sight real?
Yes.
No.
Are robots going to take over the world?
No, we will kill the world before that is happen.
I agree with that, but then I think robots will take over afterwards.
Maybe.
All right. Hot take Skynet. Before that, planet's dead anyway. All right. Bigfoot. Is he real or not?
Not real.
I think he is.
All right.
Gotta believe her.
Aliens. Are they real or not?
Definitely, without question.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather be a T-Rex or a Velociraptor?
Velociraptor.
Yeah, same.
All right. Hottest question on the market right now. Chips or pretzels?
I don't think that's very fair to pretzels because that's like saying water versus beverages. Give me one thing and then a thing that's completely vast. But I'm going to stick up for pretzels because they do too come in many forms and most of them I enjoy.
I'm going to say chips unless we're talking about Auntie Anne's.
Oh,
and then pretzels all the way.
See, that's what people didn't take into account. You got to think about the soft pretzels.
The pretzel debate is taking a new form.
Yeah, there's different kinds of pretzels. One time we went to a brewery in Boston before a show and we all had some hot pretzels and some beer. And that was one of my favorite meals we've shared together, just eating some hot pretzels with a variety of like some mustards.
Oh yes. I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
I can't wait to tell Lowen though. We're building an army against her anti-pretzel movement. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Pie.
Yeah.
All right. Sunrise or sunset over the beautiful Brooklyn Bridge?
I will never wake up early enough to see the sun rise over the beautiful Brooklyn Bridge.
I'd say sunrise because it's so rare that you see one that when you do, it's just beautiful.
Got it. All right. Going out or staying in? I know this one's been a hot topic lately, but normal times.
Going out.
Yeah, going out.
All right. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
All right. Work hard or play hard?
Work hard.
Play hard. That's why we're a good team.
Yeah. All right. Tendies, chicken tendies or chicken wings?
Wings.
Tendies.
All right. Beer or wine?
Most of the time beer, but it's close.
I'm gonna say wine.
He's a wine man. All right. Hot dogs or burgers?
Oh man. Hot dogs.
Yeah, hot dogs.
Hot dogs. All right. And before I get to the final question, Tash, mentioned you guys went to the University of Arkansas, so we're gonna need to go ahead and get a Woo Pig Suey from you guys.
Yes, Woo Pig Suey.
I will say Woo Pig Suey. Because that is something I do live by. I do live by the Woo Pig. Shout out everybody on the Arkansas basketball team who took us to the Elite Eight this year. That was heroic and amazing. But if what you're asking for is for us to do the whole thing where they they do it real slow and call the hogs. We will absolutely never do that.
We actually had a discussion very recently about this, and we all stand firm that at once, like you get one woo pig per game, and that should be it.
Yeah.
And so to do it outside of a game, we morally cannot indulge.
No, that's one of the cringiest parts about living in Arkansas, like growing up in Arkansas. Is you'll be like at a concert or something, and everybody will start doing the hog call, and you're just like, "Shut up! Just don't do that here. You're embarrassing us. People never come here. This is what they're gonna think." We all say to each other when we greet each other at each other's houses.
Oh man,
that's what we're taking the pretzels.
Yeah,
yeah, that might be.
You should ask your other guests to woo Pig Suey just to.
That was a new question.
Yeah.
Please,
yeah.
Best woo Pig Suey. So,
hey, at least you guys aren't those guys from Tennessee who are always singing that damn Rocky Top song. So that's good. All right. Question 20, back to Pete Peterson's party pack question before we went off to the SEC country with Marty and McGee.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Who are some artists that we might not know that you guys want to put on, or anybody, your friends, anybody that we should be checking out? This is a lot of the times that we do this podcast. We get people on that we know from other people. Daphna, for example, was somebody who was told to us by High Crime. So talk to us a little bit about some of your buds and who you guys are jamming on lately.
This is always a really tricky situation because you want to just like talk about everybody. Obviously, we don't have time for that. So I'll take a couple of New Jersey friends. Shout out some of our best friends are in a band called Man Dancing that we really love, and I believe they have plans to come to Atlanta later in the year.
Oh,
and then we, my good friend Mark Busey has a project called Brewster, and those are I will shout out those New Jersey homies, who are all very near and dear to me, just across the river over here. And then I'll let John Lewis pick a region of the world.
Well, my two will be a little bit separated in terms of regions, but
I think that's against the rules. Actually, I think you have to pick.
They have to be from Arkansas.
It's hard because we've played with so many good bands and we got a lot of good friends who play music, but I'll stick to two. One is our friend Clayton from Nashville. His band is called Rockupora. One of those guys where if you ever get the chance to go see him live, you have to. It's going to be undoubtedly one of the most bizarre and memorable shows you ever go to.
Transcendent.
Yeah. And then some of our friends from Boston are in a band called The Water Cycle. And if you ever just need a pick-me-up, just throw on The Water Cycle. It's just pure music. Like it has a purity to it that will just make you happy.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for the recommendations, and we will definitely be checking these guys out. I mean, Transcendent. I mean, that's a claim I've heard only from like my buddy going to see Arcade Fire in like the rain in Birmingham. So
Rockupora blows Arcade Fire out of the water.
Yeah. All right. Hey, I'm pumped.
Like, and he also he's based out of Nashville. He's from Mississippi. He tours the Southeast frequently. I imagine, hopefully, everything continues on its current trajectory and more shows come back. I imagine y'all will get the chance to see him. I think he comes around Atlanta now and then.
Well, we will keep our eyes peeled, looking for that. Speaking of which, is Brother Moses hitting the tour anytime soon?
very soon, actually, we're playing in Nashville and in Fayetteville, Arkansas, weekend after next. It'll be our first shows back in over a year. And then this summer we have a bunch of dates kind of scattered throughout the Northeast and the East Coast. And then we are working on the fall. I think a lot of people are working on the fall, kind of trying to put out feelers and see what's possible. And we're hoping to play in a lot more places in the fall. So if you want to stay up to date on it, brothermoses.org/tour is where it always is.
Hell yes. Well, hopefully we can get some Brother Moses in Atlanta, and we can get out there and get some Woo Pig Sueys. Me and Grant will be in the front row, just screaming at y'all, getting y'all, make you feel at home. But
Wouldn't be the first one.
wouldn't be the first one. Probably won't be the last one. But Brother Moses, it has been an absolute pleasure having you guys on. Honest to God, I hope that we can see y'all live soon. But until that time, y'all take care, and thank y'all for coming on to Indiebnb.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
This is very fun.
Y'all take care, and maybe we'll have y'all back on soon. So
yeah, we'd love that.
All right, guys.
Take it easy.
Peace, guys.